Hey BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I thought it's time for an update on my reading, which I know it's only been a few days since I last made a video, but I figure, this is a way to be consistent, and all the booktubers that I watch that talk about like what to do to make a good channel is to be consistent. So I'm figuring I'll talk and do another video where I just update you guys, because I've read a little bit, not a lot, and I did go to Booksmania yesterday, which was a nice surprise. It was one of these things where my dad wanted to get his haircut, and the haircut place was not that far, and we would be driving past the shopping center where the Booksmania was, and he was like, "Do you want to go with me? I could drop you off." And at first I was like, "Oh, I don't have my purse," but then he was like, I'll take you home, and then it will give me a chance to pick up my magazine so I can read my magazine while I'm getting my haircut. So I ended up going to Booksmania, which was awesome, and I will show you what I got there in a little bit. But let's first talk to you guys about what's going on with my reading. So I haven't gone back to this since yesterday, but I am slowly progressing through Wheel of Time. I'm got pretty good way. I'm way past halfway point. I got a good chunk left to read, but it's, I'm progressing really well, and I'm very excited about that. And actually, this is one of those things where I need to make sure that I read the next book right away. I always do the same thing with series where I don't read the next book right away because I want to savor it a little bit, and I don't want to jump into it right away. But I feel like I need to do that more often. I need to just jump into the next book in the series, because then it will take me forever to get to the next book. Even if I'm engaged in the series and very interested, I haven't finished my rereads of Harry Potter series or the Lunar Chronicles. I have only one more book for each of them to read, but it's like one of these things where I've started the book, but I've stopped reading it and haven't come back to it yet. So I need to fix that problem. And that's why some of the books, when I go on my little vacation to visit my grandma, I want to start those. I need to bring some of those books from some of my series as with me, so I can start reading them. And particularly the Seven Realms series. I'm going to bring the Exiled Queen with me, and this one, of course. So I am at the point of Edwin and Peron have have left the people that are all about non-violence, the way of the Leaf, as they put it. They're very peaceful people, but concerning the world that they live in, I don't think that will help them survive. Like, they keep talking, which it's a beautiful idea, but in fantasy stories, it does provide an interesting contrast to all the other characters, and there's bound to be people that are more passive and believe and are passive, have that pacifist mentality. And then what really bugged me is that they are being chased by these ravens, which are, I guess, seen as dark friends of the dark one friends, and Peron has to protect. He has the bond with the wolves, so he feels the need to protect the wolves and protect Edwin, and then he uses his axe, and I kind of miss what he actually did. I really should just go back to that chapter and reread it, but I'm too lazy to do that. And then he's later that night, and I think Edwin kind of looked at him funny a little bit, so I don't know. Going by interpretation, he feels like she looked at him like he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you murdered something," or like, "You're evil, you're a killer." But I don't know. I don't trust that. I'm wondering if maybe she did not think of him. She does not think of him that way. Maybe she's a little shocked, but I don't think she thinks of him as like, "How dare you use violence?" But then again, she was kind of going along with the way of the Leaf people, and I think a lot in fantasy books, the girls are always more of the peace lovers, more about peace and being pacifist and dealing with problems passively. Not always, of course. Like, now things are changing. Now the new style and archetype is that female characters that are badass and are not like that. And I got sleepiness in my eye. I feel. Or maybe not. Sorry. But I mean, and he's pounding about it. He's like, I mean, I understand. Like, I mean, I've never killed anybody, so I don't know exactly how it would feel to have blood on your hands, even if you were doing it in defense, in self-defense. I don't know how that feels, but presently my feelings are concerning that the world they live in, they need to, just get over that. And I think there's no way that Peron could walk away and not use his axe anymore and just throw it away, because I doubt that they can, get away with not the bad guys, the Dark Ones, the friends, the Dark One's friends. Dark One friends are not going to leave them alone and are not going to let them get away passively. And he cannot walk away from this. He can't ignore it. He's going to have to use violence whether he likes it or not, whether he's comfortable with it or not. He's going to have to learn to get comfortable with it. And that's what Elias is trying to tell him. Because he's like, when he's all pouty about it, getting ready, I'm never going to use this axe again, which is really, it is unfair of me to call him pouty, because, yeah, I've never done anything like killing anything in self-defense. I've never drawn blood or hurt something in that way, so I can't really understand. But reading books like that, having been someone who's read books like this, and watched movies and TV shows like this from experience, in a fantasy world, you cannot get away with being passive or being like, I don't want to use violence, and think you can just walk away from bad guys and live a peaceful life. That never happens. You can't do that. And characters they can never walk away from it. They always remember. They always live with it the rest of their lives, even if they try to live peacefully. And, it's not their fault that this happened to them. They got chosen, and they think, just going, like, Rand is thinking, like I talked about in the previous chapters, that the guy, the captain on the boat that Rand and Tom, and, let's call him Tom is the other guy, Matt, the boat that Rand and Matt are traveling on with Tom, technically, well, not technically, they are, but the captain of that boat is telling Rand that it gets into your skin, and the taste of adventure, and Rand is like, no, I'm going to want to go back home. And I'm thinking, no, I'm pretty sure the captain is right. You're never going to want to walk away from this. Eventually, it's going to get into your skin and get into your mind. You're going to miss this, or you're going to feel like you can't go back home. I mean, that's why Frodo in Lord of the Rings left Hobbiton, because he was never the same. He couldn't just stay in Hobbiton and live the quiet life. He had been through so much hell, and he barely survived it, so it was the next life he had to go, because he couldn't just go back to the way things were. Now, it's a little different, because, of course, which, by the way, yes, there are similarities between this and Fellowship and the Lord of the Rings, but I've listened to the books, and I've seen the movie several times, and it's not like a carbon copy of it. Yes, there are a lot of similarities, but it's not enough to be like, how dare Robert Jordan, he needs to be more original. And besides, after this book, it does get original. Now, I'm afraid to read. Now, I gotta admit, I'm afraid and apprehensive to read some of the reviews and stuff. Not interviews, I don't know why I said interviews. Reviews of this book. There's that one really long one, which I don't like reading I gotta admit, I don't like reading the long ones. I don't mind watching long reviews on, BookTube, but I don't like reading them. Unless I'm just in the mood to be amused. If they're entertaining reviews, if they're, funny with using memes and stuff like that, and snarky commentary, then fine. I'll read those, because those can be entertaining. But that one was really long, and then I'm apprehensive about reading it, because I don't, as far as I'm aware, I don't see any reason not to give this book 5 or at least 4 stars. like so far, and by the end of it, it's not like my feelings are going to change by the end of it. And I don't think, and don't give me that whole, oh, Tolkien's far superior. Like, that was then. It's an older book. It's older. Yes, it's the classic, and it is due respect. But that doesn't mean that it's better than, like, this series. At least from what I've read so far. I've only read most of this first book. So, but it just gets on my nerves when people act like Lord of the Rings is far superior fantasy. It's like, yes, it started it all, and it's due respect, but doesn't mean that it's far superior. Okay, anyway, back to talking about the book. So, well, I am still talking about the books, but you know what I mean. But anyway, yeah, so, and unfortunately Peron and Edwin have been captured by these guys that claim to be the people of the light or whatever. They're followers of the light, and I'm just thinking, you're those typical religious zealot people who think they're better than everybody else and thinking their way is better, and you see yourself as the good guys, but you're probably really just as corrupt as the rest of them. You just are covered up by the light, your beliefs in the supposed light and everything. It's just, those people are very scary type people that think they're better than everybody else and think they're the good guys. That's what makes them, like, perfect villains, because they don't see themselves as bad guys. They see themselves as good guys. Now, there might be people that are followers of the light that are genuinely good people and aren't so religious obsessed in that everyone else is evil because they don't follow the light mentality. I'm sure not all of them have that, or at least I hope not all of them. I hope there are at least some of them that don't have that mentality and are willing to listen and to believe that that not everybody is a dark friend, not everybody who doesn't follow the light is a bad guy. And of course they're trying to tell them, half-truths and stuff like that. And of course the guy doesn't believe them. He's like, you're lying, and oh, you can't, when they're Shadar Law Logoth. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's like, he doesn't believe him, and he's like, oh, there's no way you could survive that place, blah blah blah. And of course, once again, everyone thinks that the Aes Sedai are the bad guys and the villains, and maybe some of them are, but I mean, I don't see Moiraine as a bad guy as of right now. I think she's a good guy. Or maybe if they are the bad guys, if they have chosen darkness, Moiraine, the impression I'm getting from her is that she's not. She has walked away from that. But she can't entirely walk away from being an Aes Sedai either. But so I don't know, we have not met any other, she's the only Aes Sedai we've met. And she does want to train Edwin to become one of them because she sensed it inside of her. And then as far as Rand and Matt are concerned, Tom is sadly gone from the group, and I don't know if he survived or not. I'm very worried that he didn't survive. But they have separated. They are traveling, and farmers are kind of afraid of them and don't want them around for some reason. I still haven't figured out why everyone gets all squeamish, but they have currently found themselves with a farmer who has, like, I think, a son and a daughter, I want to say. But they are maybe just a daughter, I don't know, but she likes Rand. And it's so funny because, like, whenever, you have Peron interacting with Edwin and he doesn't know how to interact with her, and he also sees all these women when he's with the people of the Way of the Leaf. There's all these girls that are flirting with him and dancing with him, or dancing in front of him to seduce him or to get his attention. And he's all like, Rand would know what to do. He knows how to talk to girls. He's like all awkward. Like, Peron is just awkward and doesn't know how to talk to girls. And then we're in in the last chapter I read, you have Rand and Matt are with the farmer and his daughter. And the daughter's checking out Rand and all into him. And he, especially when he starts playing the flute and all the stuff he's learned from Tom. And then you have Matt who's juggling and stuff, doing juggling like Tom taught him. And it's just, and then he's thinking Peron would know how to handle this. He would know how to talk to this girl. And it's just funny that both of them are thinking that the other one would know how to handle this better. And they're both just so awkward about it. It's like either Matt or Edwin needs to be like, dude, you're both perfect. Either you both think the other one is better at it, but it's just kind of funny that, but anyway, I'm going to read a little bit more today, maybe this afternoon or this evening. I'm in the middle of, I think, where am I at? Chapter 32. I'm only one page into chapter 32. But like I said, I bring this with me because it's small enough to fit in my lunch bag with me to work, so I can read during my 15 minutes, so I can prove to people that us millennials, or at least we don't just sit there and stare at our phones all the time. Of course, then that invites people to ask questions and talk to me and ask me what I'm reading. I'm like, okay, that's the last. Readers don't like that when you interrupt them while they are actually doing the reading and talk about how it's so awesome that you read. It's like, yes, we appreciate the compliment, or at least this is how I feel. I appreciate the compliment, but I don't want to be interrupted while I'm reading. Okay, I am reading, so you can compliment me when I stopped reading. I also finally got back into the Count of Monte Cristo, which I am debating about taking with me to my grandma's as well. I don't know though. I mean, there will be less distraction at my grandma's, of course, because, there won't be little kids running around. But there will be distraction of the news will be on all the time at my grandma's house because, even if she says she doesn't watch the news and she knows that she probably shouldn't, it's still on all the time. If she didn't have to sleep, it would be on. Although she probably looks at the news on her iPad. But it's on all the time. And the only time it's not on is like if I change the channel, or if my mom or dad changes the channel when we're visiting. So there's the problem with that is there's no quiet place for me to be comfortable while reading, except for maybe there's one area past the foyer that I always get living room and family room mixed up. I don't ever know which one is which. But I think that would be called the family room, where there's the piano and the couch and chairs, 2 couches and chairs, and there's 2 of her curio cabinets. And it's one that we don't use that often, except for we use it around Christmas time. And I think that's the family room, and then the living room is the one where the TV is, where we use it all the time when everybody's here. But anyway, basically, yeah, that's probably the most comfortable, most secure place. But then the kitchen is not far, and there's a TV in the kitchen, and so she will have the TV on, and again, the news all the time. And I know watching the news is important, but you don't need to watch it all the time to know what's going on. But, so I'm still debating, but it's fun to get back into it, and it's definitely one of those books that I need to be in a certain place. Like, I can't be tired when I'm reading it, because then I won't pay attention, and I'll fall asleep. Like, now in the morning is like a perfect time to read a book like this. Like, read some of the classics. I might be able to get away with some of the more modern classics in the afternoon and the evening, but I feel like the morning is the perfect time to read a book like this. So I am at the part where Monte Cristo has gone to visit. He has saved Villefort's son from getting trampled on or something like that, and so he has won favor with Madame Villefort, and then of course her husband, Monsieur Villefort, the magistrate, has shown up and is come to talk to him, to meet the Count, and they're talking philosophy, and the Count is talking about the idea of like pride and thinking you are above God, you are above God, but there's someone above you, and that's God. So they're kind of philosophizing back and forth. and to the point where eventually he uses the Count's title. Like before, when he first arrived, he called him Monsieur, but then he starts using his title, addressing him by his title, which shows a sign of respect. And that's very interesting. Like, at first he didn't respect him because he didn't know anything about the guy, but now that he knows the kind of guy he's got an idea of the guy, the impression he gives him, he assumes he admires and respects him better. And then, after that, we got to the part which this is not in the movie, but he meets this young girl. He's with this young woman who's like, I think it says she's 18, this Greek who her father has died, and I guess the Count has kind of taken her in, and I think she's Greek, I believe, and she's kind of become, I get the impression that they are lovers, that they're friends with benefits, you could say. I don't know though yet. And I was watching, in the group on Goodreads, there is a discussion and a reading for this book. And there was a discussion about some of the there's some editions of this book that are not as censored, to the point where I think there's a bisexual character, or a character that is suggested to be bi, or at least gay, in the book. And I have not come, or at least not that I've noticed. Now, I don't know, maybe this is a more censored version of the book. Which in a small way is a little disappointing, because it's like, I got a safer edition of the book, supposedly. But anyway, so he's met with her, and I still don't know, like, I do not know what her role is going to be in the story, like, who she is, the Count, and how she's going to play in his scheme. And then the last chapter I read was he was visiting Monsieur Morel's family, his children. His daughter's married to this one dude who, a merchant, and he's feeling all insecure because his wife is very rich and stuff like that, and very successful, and she has a very nice dowry of the diamond, the jewel that the Count gave their father under a disguise, under a false identity, Sinbad the Sailor. And they're giving, and he's talking to them, and he doesn't want them to know it's him, and they don't even recognize him anyway. Or, they don't know what he looks like, so he's trying to tell them. So you can see he's kind of squirming a little bit as they debate. They talk to him about who it could be, and they think it's an Englishman. But of course we know it's not. In our Edmond Dantes is actually a Frenchman. But then the Monsieur Morel, the last thing in the chapter was he realizes he's so sure that it's Dantes who gave him the jewel, so his family would be well taken care of. And of course, the Count is a little squeamish about that. He's like, oh crap, they might have. And I don't know if the son believed his father or not. I don't think he did, because he doesn't believe in the supernatural, and they believe Dantes is dead, of course. So if it was him, they're thinking, oh, it was his ghost, his spirit. But what I really like of this book is some of the chapters are short, are only a few pages long, and then there are some, of course, that are longer than others. Like I said, I'm debating about bringing it with me, but it's kind of hard to find a comfortable place. And I'm also trying not to bring as many. I'm trying, because I'm staying there a little bit longer. I'm staying at my grandma's just a little bit longer, but only a few days longer. I mean, it's just hard to decide narrow it down to which books I want to bring. Even now, I had started to, be like, okay, I'm not going to bring this book because it's heavier, so I don't need to bring as many hardback books. But then I'm thinking, oh, but I want to bring this one. I'm not sure. I even put aside my nonfiction, Something Wonderful, and decided not to bring that one. And of course, now that I brought it up, I'm going to be thinking, maybe I should bring that one, because I need to finally start it, because I've been wanting to read it. But I think I might save that one for when I get back. and read it as my nonfiction. But either way, I need to read another nonfiction. And I think Something Wonderful is going to be a little bit easier than reading the John Adams bio from David McCullough. Although I was watching Jennifer Brooks's video on the Boston Massacre, which surprisingly, a lot of people, like I think she said 5 people died. So it was like not technically a massacre, and I don't know. She did kind of explain why they refer to it as a massacre, but I don't remember what she said. But it's funny that only 5 people died, and also that, let me go ahead and put this down because my hand is tired. And then she talked about there was a rumor that there was one guy that got shot, but he was still alive for several years before he finally died. I think that was a rumor. I'm not sure, but I'm somebody who likes to dip my toes and learn about it, but then I don't take my time to read the books myself. I'm lazy like that. That's why I want to get more into nonfiction. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm really liking this, and I'm right now like this perfect timing to read this book and get a lot of it read. Like I said, I need. Okay, so let's talk about the books I got yesterday from Books A Million. So first, I finally bought this. This is the first book in Second Era Mistborn. I finally bought it. Yay! I was tempted to buy the second one too, but then I was also buying book 6 of the other series, and then I also spotted a very nice fancy edition of a classic that I wanted to get, which I will show you guys in a minute. That's kind of my splurge, which I did not realize. I was dumb and did not. The first price I saw was the UK price of it, which is a little bit not as expensive as the US price, and that was the first one I saw. I didn't even think about that. That's why I'm not very good with, which is why I need to learn how to be more. I still am trying to learn to be more conscientious with my money, but I'm not very good at it. And I think my parents are worried about me and that. But I think with my sister around, one day when they're not around, my sister will be the one who will kind of corral me. Although it shouldn't be her responsibility. It should be something I need to try to do myself. And it will help though, living in one of the cities in Virginia. That would probably help me a lot, because at least there would be more for me to do, more places for me to go, and I can walk to places, because the only walkable places are the library and the bookstore right now. So, there is where the bookstore is located, the Village area, but there's not a lot of places that I would shop at in there, in all honesty. But, hopefully that will be a long time from now. Hopefully God does not decide, because I do believe in God and stuff, but I just don't get into religion on here, because I know not everybody does. But hopefully God won't decide to take them away anytime soon. But anyway, so finally got it, and this is so great. And I actually met a couple there at the bookstore who was looking at Brandon Sanderson, and I don't know if that was his girlfriend or his sister. I don't think it was his daughter. I think he was not old enough to have a daughter that looked like that. She looked at least too old to be his daughter, or at least the guy looked really young. But although I really shouldn't, considering how young I look, and I'm 30, I really shouldn't assume people's ages. But then I think she might have been like his wife or girlfriend. But anyway, they were there and looking at, and he had convinced her. She had decided to get the Mistborn Trilogy, the first trilogy, but we were talking about it, and he's one of the people who does like Elantris. Like, both of us have encountered people that have said they don't like Elantris as much, because it was like one of the first books he had published, I think, so one of his early works, so the writing is a little different. And I had meant to say to him in our conversation that I feel like I wouldn't be able to tell anyway. I wasn't able to tell unless I'm reading 2 Brandon Sanderson books at the same time. Then yeah, maybe I would be able to tell. But I'm totally clueless about that kind of stuff. Which, I don't know if that's a bad thing for someone who would love to write her own book. But as Steve Dania said, if I don't write on a regular basis, then that must mean I don't want it enough if I let myself get distracted. Okay, so, yep, got a Live Law. Have not got the second one yet, but I will someday in the future. And I can take that off my Amazon wish list now. And then I also got book 5 in the Wheel of Time series, and I'm going to try to take this off. That price sticker. I hate these price stickers now where they're in the middle of the back of the book. It's annoying. And in this case, at least it's not covering anything super important, but it's covering something important enough that I need to look at it to see. I would need to look at it to see if basically it's covering the titles in the back. At least it's not a description, but still it's the titles of all the books. Okay, yes, I love it when you can get these off without not leaving leftover residue. It's so nice. But this was another one I almost got the next book after this one in the series. I almost got book 6, Lord of Chaos, but I ended up not getting it because of the next book I'm going to show you that I got. But this is the 5th book in the series. So I'm wondering if I have to look and see where does it start to get boring, because there are a lot of people that say in the middle of the series it does get a little tedious and boring after a while. So I don't know if it's this book or not. I mean, I hope that doesn't motivate me to stop. I hope I push myself enough to keep going with it. I mean, maybe at that point I will, but this is the New York Times bestseller. And even the manager who runs Booksmart, I remember when she saw that I was first saw that I was starting to read this series, she was like, "Oh, you're finally reading that series? It's one of my favorites." But yeah. So this is book 5, but I gotta finish book. But it's good. Okay, so here's time to show you why I ended up not getting the next books, the second book of Second Era Mistborn, or book 6 of Wheel of Time, and that is because of this lovely cloth-bound edition. So, like I said, as I was telling you guys earlier, I was looking at the UK price of this, which is $14.99. So I was thinking, oh, it's only $14.99. I didn't even pay attention to the pound symbol. I just saw it's $14.99. Here it says, right there. But it's actually I feel bad for Samantha I got it before because I started watching the show again, but I get Saskanek. It's the nickname that Jamie and his clan give Claire in Outlander. Like, I think it means a white woman or English woman or something, but it started out as an insult, but now it's become endearment. Saskanak. I don't know if that's how I sound when I say it. Sounds Jewish. Saskanak. Oh, I can't say it. The book wizard. She's Canadian. She's always talking about how everything's more expensive in Canada. So I feel really bad for her that everything, like, she has to be careful, and she almost has to always order things online because, but this postal service sucks too in Canada, according to her. But the USA price is $25, which is, like I said, cheaper than Canada, but it's more expensive than the UK. It's so beautiful. And this, if you can't tell, is The Odyssey by Homer, which I started reading in the library last week. I started reading a library edition. The edition I got from the library, you guys know I've talked about it in my update videos. You have Telemachus is going to try to search for his father, Odysseus, who is coming home from the Trojan War, but it's currently not. He has found it difficult to get home. He keeps getting trapped on islands, and so Telemachus has taken him to his own hand to find his father, and then meanwhile his mom is has all these guys after her and wants to pursue her. And it's like, apparently they don't care what she thinks. It doesn't matter what she wants. It's only what they want. I mean, I feel like I said before in my previous update videos, I mean, what's gonna happen? Either actually, no, I might have just been thinking this while I was thinking out loud when I was reading the book, that unless like her father, Penelope's father, makes her marry one of these guys or pick one of these guys, I mean, what are they gonna do? Like force her to marry them? She's gonna say, I don't see her saying yes, even if it turns out even if it turned out Odysseus was dead, she's not gonna say yes. Just because you are all charming and showing how strong and manly you are, it doesn't guarantee that she's going to say yes. I mean, maybe she would say yes, but there's no guarantee. It's stupid, so I don't get the way these guys are thinking. Do you think that if you show how strong you are, that she's going to all be like, you're so strong and manly, so yes, I'm going to marry you, even though my husband, who was the love of my life, is dead. I'm going to marry you because you're so strong and manly, are good at flirting with me and whatnot. It's like, I don't understand their logic. They can't even fathom the possibility that she might reject all of them. Anyway, look at how pretty this is. I love this. I got so excited because I saw it there, and, it's like, and I regret nothing, I mean, I probably should not have bought it, but because there was a paperback edition. There's that section where near the clearance section, I guess it is part of the clearance section, where they have those paperback editions of classics that have those really bright covers, and you guys have seen them on my channel because I've shown them to you. But I decided, you know what, I don't get these kinds of editions that often. So, and I remember I always watch Mara's on books like Mara always gets these kinds of books, for her collection to show on display. Of course, now, unlike her, I'm actually going to read them. I want to read this. This is the edition I'm going to read. And people don't have to worry about me writing or, annotating this edition, because I don't write in my book. I mean, I do, but I don't do it that often anyway, because it's just too hard and it takes up too much time, and then sometimes I can't, because it's not completely flat. Start to get it all in. Although I've written this in red pen a couple times at the end of some chapters in this one. But it's so beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? Like this. I'm guessing this is the waves, waves of the sea, and, I like this sea foam green color. So I'm really excited to have an edition like this. Even though I spent quite a bit of money, and I probably should have just bought this one instead of those two paperbacks as well. But they were mass markets, so they were a little bit cheaper. And I was half tempted to get the nicer editions of the Wheel of Time series. But I'm not one of those people who will spend money religiously. I have a tiny bit of self-control. So, I mean, I don't have much of a choice. I gotta have some. I gotta corral myself on some level. But yep, I splurged. So pretty. I love showing it off. And I will probably bring this with me to when I go to my grandma's, because I do need to finish the book. At least now I can return the library book, and I don't have to bring that one with me. At least not that one. I mean, I'll still be bringing this one with me. Anyway, so that is what's going on. I'm probably going to read a little more of Monte Cristo, and then I do need to read some more of The Eye of the World. I'm going to read a couple more chapters. Although I guess it doesn't matter, because unless they call me, I'm off tomorrow too. And then I'm off for a whole week. Or almost a whole week. Because, so I still have to go through my list of books here and narrow it down a little bit, which would be kind of hard. But anyway, so if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you have not already. Click the bell notification below to see when I post new videos. And feel free to share in the comments below what you're currently reading. And do you guys have any of these fancy editions, these fancy clothbound editions, or any kind of fancy edition? I would love to know. I like looking at those videos where they talk about their collection of those kinds of editions. I like looking at them on the shelf, and I definitely get the appeal of them. And I obviously now I have one of them, so. And so just feel free to share, and I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. All right, bye!